the Foundever Corp. Team had been dreaming of this for months. After a brutal quarter filled with impossible deadlines and soul-crushing back-to-back shifts, their manager finally gave them what they deserved. A weekend retreat in Imagine a cozy beachside resort, the kind you see on postcards, with coconut trees swaying and gentle waves whispering secrets to the shore. There were 11 of them, a tight-knit crew ready to unwind. Rodel, Gary, Marissa, J.L., Y.F. Ware, T. Deonei, Duet, Angel, Francis Gray. The moment they arrived, the stress just melted away. Laughter echoed as they unloaded their bags, teasing each other, the weight of the city already a distant memory. As the sun began its magnificent descent behind the mountains, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples, the group gathered around a crackling bonfire. Someone unpacked a guitar, and the familiar chords of a classic OPM song filled the air. Soon after, the ghost stories began. It was the perfect team-building cliché, and everyone was loving it. That is, until an old caretaker emerged from the shadows, his footsteps silent on the sand. He stood at the edge of the firelight, his face a roadmap of wrinkles. "You shouldn't stay out past midnight," he warned, his voice a low rumble. "There are things in these woods that like the smell of blood." They chuckled, thinking it was part of the resort's spooky charm. But the old man wasn't laughing. His eyes remained locked on the dark tree line behind them. Without another word, he turned and disappeared back into the darkness from which he came. His warning hung in the air, a strange and unsettling note in their otherwise perfect evening. But hey, it was just a story. Right around midnight, everything changed. The wind, once a gentle caress, turned into a violent, whipping force. The bonfire sputtered and danced wildly, casting long, distorted shadows that seemed to writhe and twist. A bone-deep cold seeped into the air, heavy and oppressive. Then came the smell. It was a sickeningly sweet, metallic scent, like old pennies, and something else. Something organic. It churned in their stomachs, a primal alarm bell ringing in their minds. "It's probably just a dead animal," Neil mumbled, trying to rationalize the growing unease. Rodal, ever the brave one, grabbed a powerful flashlight. "I'll go check it out," he announced, his voice a little too loud. Gary, his loyal second-in-command, followed close behind. "Wait up, man." Their voices and the beam of the flashlight were quickly swallowed by the oppressive darkness of the trees. The group waited, the silence stretching into an eternity. Minutes felt like hours. Then, a sound cut through the night. It wasn't a scream. Not exactly. It was a wet, choked gasp. The sound of someone's last breath being stolen from their lungs. Immediately after, the flashlight beam blinked out, plunging the edge of the woods into absolute blackness. Panic began to claw at Marissa Rodel. "Gary," she called out, her voice trembling, and something answered, a whisper, impossibly close, yet from the wrong direction. It was a perfect mimicry of her own voice. "Marissa," but it came from above. She slowly tilted her head back, her eyes wide with terror, and looked up into the rustling canopy. What she saw shattered their world. Pure chaos erupted. The group scattered, a herd of panicked prey, sprinting blindly towards the relative safety of the cabins. But they weren't alone. Something was in the trees, moving with them. It was unnaturally fast, impossibly silent. As they slammed and bolted their doors, they could hear the distinct, horrifying sound of long nails scraping against the wooden walls, circling them, testing the structure, letting them know they were trapped. Panic became a virus, infecting them one by one. JL and Yafat barricaded themselves in a small bedroom, piling furniture against the door. A moment later, a heavy thud from above made the whole room shake. The roof creaked and groaned, as if something immense had just landed on it. Leo, fumbling with his phone, tried to call for help. The screen lit up for a second, 100% battery before it died completely, the screen going black. Joe and Angel decided to make a run for the van. It was their only hope. But as they burst out of their cabin, they found the tires shredded, slashed with brutal, inhuman precision. The thing, whatever it was, wasn't just hunting them. It was playing with them, savoring their fear, drawing out their torment. By 3 a.m., an eerie silence had descended upon the resort. The only sounds were the gentle lapping of the waves and, in the distance, a faint, uneven footstep. A dragging sound, as if something was limping, or perhaps carrying something heavy. The night was long, and the horrors were far from over. While the others were being hunted in the cabins, Jhunren had found a different kind of refuge. He'd scrambled beneath the old caretaker's stilt hut, his heart hammering against his ribs. It was cramped and smelled of damp earth and something else. Herbs. Hanging from the floorboards were strange charms, braids of garlic, small pouches of salt, and bundles of dried plants tied with bright red string. The caretaker's warning about staying out past midnight echoed in his mind. With trembling hands, he tore open a pouch of salt and poured a circle around himself on the dirt floor, whispering a desperate prayer that the old folk tales were true. Just then, the air grew colder, the kind of cold that seems to come from within. Something brushed against the wooden stilts of the hut. He held his breath, pressing himself flat against the ground. Then he saw them. Long, impossibly thin fingers tipped with dirty, broken nails slid under the floorboards, just inches from his face. They twitched and searched the space, feeling for him. The air was thick with the metallic scent from before, stronger now, more hungry. Jhunren squeezed his eyes shut, expecting the final, tearing pain. But the fingers stopped just at the edge of the salt line. A low hiss echoed under the hut, a sound of pure frustration and thwarted hunger. The sound slowly faded as the first hint of dawn began to paint the eastern sky. When the first rays of sunlight finally touched the shore, bathing the world in a soft, forgiving light, Jhunren crawled out. His body ached, his mind was fractured, but he was alive. The resort was utterly, hauntingly empty. On the sand, he saw them, strange, elongated footprints leading from the cabins, stopping abruptly at the edge of the forest. He never saw his teammates again. All that remained were their belongings, scattered across the resort like fallen leaves of forgotten phone here, a discarded bag there, and a collection of company name tags lying half-buried in the sand. Weeks turned into months. Jhunren returned to the city, a ghost of his former self. He was pale, silent, and the laughter that once came so easily was gone forever. He refused to speak about what happened in Batangas, shutting down any attempt to pry. The official story was a tragic accident, a freak wave, a boating mishap, but sometimes, in the sterile quiet of a company meeting, when the wind howled and rattled the high-rise windows, he would flinch. His eyes would dart to the glass, not seeing the city below, but listening for a whisper carried on the wind, a sound that still remembered his name. And in those moments, he'd whisper back, his voice a barely audible, trembling breath, a promise to the thing that hunted him, and a testament to the friends he lost. I am still here. Thank you for joining me on this terrifying journey tonight. If you have your own unexplainable stories, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Tales from the Shadows. Stay safe out there.